I wanted to go over some things with you guys. Today, I'm not going to listen to what they've been talking about. I'm going to talk about what I've already done. So this is something I wrote before, and I did a video on it, and I had a website. So I'm just going to tell you what it says. Okay. So retain that information and carry that negative association with that stimulus. Think about how you feel when you had a bad customer service experience. Every time you think of that company, you think of that experience. So schema is very important. Your brain is working all the time. It's taking in new information all the time, synthesizing that information subconsciously. So, okay, I wrote this. Okay, enough of this. Let's get to real life examples. You're in line at your local coffee shop for 15 minutes, but it feels like forever. When suddenly someone comes in the door and rushes in and jumps the line. Like all mammals, humans are territorial. We like our stuff. This intrusion is sending our bodies into overdrive. Signals are coming in. Our limbic systems are firing away. Now, our limbic systems are in our brains. And we can't, and what we're thinking is, how dare he jump the line? I've been waiting here for hours, and he's just, oh wait, new information emerges. Our brains are processing. Why is he holding a cup of coffee from this shop? All of a sudden, we're happy we didn't say anything. It turns out that they got his order wrong, and he had to come all the way back to fix it. And he's angry. Now we feel empathy for him. This proves the easiest way to control your behavior and your emotions is by giving yourself a few additional seconds to calm down and take in new information. Now, I wrote this as part of a video I did, and they lied and said that they're the ones who did it, and they're the ones that inspired it. But I'm the person who took the coursework. I'm the person who had the experiences too many times about something like that. So they said I used to sit around very quiet, and that now in my videos, when I'm talking about things and this is not in my personality, that's the point. It wasn't in my personality to be this way at this level until I was hit in the head, talked to all the time, and it changed my behavior. And that's part of what I'm doing. I'm showing you the effects of this, not only microwave hearing, people banging, vandalizing my things, breaking into my apartment, spreading lies, confusing me by 1 minute saying one thing, the next minute saying something else. The other thing I wanted to show you is I started to do a video, but I didn't get a chance to. And I called it Emotional versus Logical People. And that's what I was talking about in the video that is uploaded already. That there are people who feel things and it's sort of an intuitive thought process versus people who think things that have a logical process and are more linear. The other evidence that I have that I actually did all this is here's the Cup of Jar Productions logo that I created. And I had the little thumbnail that I created. And I said Cup of Jar Production Animation using visualization to unleash your creativity and realize your goals. And visualization is not fantasy. Sort of the idea of a form of meditation requires focus, brainstorming, playing out scenarios in your head, different scenarios, problem solving, generating ideas, recategorizing situations, looking on the bright side, allows you to mentally do things that you can't physically do, helps you become objective to allowing you to see things from a different perspective. So if they're trying to force me to visualize things in my head by exposing it to radiation, not allowing me to sleep, they're messing up my visualization process. So when they keep talking about, well, why aren't you doing this? Because I was the one coming up with the ideas. They were not. That's the process. The process for me to come up with things and have my creative juices flowing, like they say, is for me to visualize, not for them to put stupid things in my head. So when I woke up, they said, weren't you just on a bus? No, I was trying to take a nap. I wasn't on any bus. Okay, here's another proof that I'm the person who was doing this stuff. You see this? It says crazy making behaviors, gaslighting, changing events, changing stories, revising history, confusion, chaos. This is something I wrote around the time when this first started. That's the point. These things that I was doing before they came, and they'll say, oh, that's grammatically incorrect. Exactly. My whole grammar, everything's changed. So they're saying, well, if your grammar changed, then here's what do you think could have caused it, folks? What do you think caused a complete, I put this up on Twitter, and I at different law enforcement. I had a professor in college who said I had a really great command of language. Other people have said that. That's why I worked in the fields I work. So suddenly I can't have a complete sentence. I can't make my verbs match. There's suddenly a problem. That's the point. So anyway, going back to this, setting you up for failure. And that's part of what I've been telling you folks. Here's something else that I was working on. These show that I'm the person doing it. But once this started to happen, I couldn't do it anymore because they were setting me up. So I was telling you folks about gaslighting, changing events, changing stories, revising history, confusion, chaos. That's part of what they were doing. And they're still doing it, but they're doing it in a different way now. Now they're claiming that they are the ones who know exactly what happened in my life. But unfortunately, they know it from watching me, not from experiencing it. So who would know exactly what happened? I would. So they're then trying to twist it and say, well, aren't we getting close to what happened? No. And the biggest problem they said was they wanted me to feel like, not self-conscious, but they wanted me to care more about their opinions of me. That's part of something that I didn't put here. That is crazy making behavior, where they expect you to care more about what they feel about you or how they interpret something than what actually happened or how you feel. That's a really big deal. I can't even imagine that. Like, I couldn't imagine going up to someone and saying, don't you care what I think about you more than what you're feeling and thinking right now? Don't you care? Why am I not more important than you? That's pretty much what they're saying. Why am I not more important to them is my reply. I think I would be the most important person in my life. That's the point. They didn't want this type of person, someone who could come back at them each and every turn. They wanted me to be, like I said in the beginning, remain quiet. How come I think that this causes this? It causes me to react as opposed to having the ability to take a few seconds and, it causes me to react. And that's part of what this does. Now, the understanding why I have to show you the truth. Because if you're going through this and you're reacting, you can look at me and say, oh, I'm going through that also. So let's talk about something else that I wrote. Love bombing. That's pretty much what they wanted to do to me in the beginning. They wanted to surround me with feeling of love, that, we're friends, we're going to form a group. They said the word community. I can't form a community with these types of people because they aren't trustworthy. They do the wrong things. They set me up. They're toxic. They're toxic. Anyone who keeps changing stories and keeps coming up with lies, suddenly they are the ones who did all the work. If they did this Cup of Jar Productions the way it was before, they never would have let me take credit for it. They wouldn't have. They barely want me to take credit for this. And this is, you see what this is. This is a horrible channel. You know what I mean? So then all of a sudden they're going to try to take credit for, they would let me take credit for the better channel? No, it wouldn't happen. Okay. How does he make you feel? This is what a video I was working on. And that's the point. How do these people make me feel? And I put different things like happy, okay, sad, depressed, mad, hopeless. That's the point. When I'm looking at how these people make me feel, when you're looking at how someone makes you feel, after a while, if you're not feeling good about something, I just said this is a horrible channel. It's horrible because it depicts what this did. and they didn't want the world to see it. They said they were trying to create something where this was supposed to be a positive experience. So hitting people in the head, surveilling them 24/7, spreading lies and gossip about them, then twisting it, and then pretending you didn't twist it, then apologizing. That really is the process. I got to stay on that process for a few minutes. If you do something wrong and then you apologize, but continue to do that, then there's a problem. If you do something to me once and you apologize, apology accepted. The second time, I'm going to tell you, listen, you did this to me before. I don't like it. Don't do it again. By the third time, I'm gone. We used to say back in the day, 3 strikes and you're out. That used to be the rule. Everybody knew that rule. Some people give you 1 strike. But we used to say 3 strikes because by that point, you know what you're doing is wrong. Okay. Do not cross this line. So they keep saying, we cross all your lines. And that's my point. They are doing it to get me upset. No exit. You can't leave. This is what I wrote. That's the point. You get what I'm saying? They said they have stolen my biometrics. So that I have to always be around them. I have to always hear the voice. They said they keep saying none of these voices. They said none of these voices are going away. True love is free. That's what I wrote. So I wrote Sting. If you love someone, set them free. Meaning, I think when you love someone, you give them freedom and free will. You let them go. But they believe in no exit. You can't leave. So I wrote, no shame, just change your game. So what I meant by that is that if you're going through all these things, don't feel ashamed of that you're going through it. I don't feel ashamed that I'm going through it. I changed the game, which is how I wanted to bring it back to what happened when I first started this video. Before, I would have sat back and kind of assessed the situation. Now I do these videos. I at law enforcement. I speak to other people who are being victimized. I've changed my game because this has to be exposed. What was the other thing I wanted to tell you? So some of the videos that I wanted to do, they said they're going to steal. So I wrote science is sexy. They can steal that idea because I think science is sexy. So they tried to minimize my accomplishments by saying, well, how do you have a Bachelor of Science? A Bachelor of Science requires taking science courses. They said, isn't it just in psychology? That's what they can't understand. You're required to take science courses to get a Bachelor of Science. So you're required to take biology, physics. I did a honors thesis in psychology that dealt with law. You're required to take the coursework to get a Bachelor of Science. And that's the problem with them. They don't want to accept that it's not just the psychological courses. It has to be science. The other thing that they don't want to accept is by having a Regents diploma, you must take science and math courses. And they can't accept that because I think this is why they can't accept it. Because that means I'm not coming from an emotional standpoint. They know that I tend to be logical. And as a logical person, yeah, I can be very linear. And I like being linear because that means that I follow different steps to achieve the goal as opposed to just an emotional response. So they said, well, this part of this program was to make me become someone who was more emotional. And I think that's the biggest thing. They did strategically hit me in different places on my head that would affect my brain and affect my body and change my behavior from being someone who tends to be more logical to being emotional. Unfortunately for them, when you're a logical person like I am, it doesn't really change. I still tend to be logical. So when they're looking at how I behave to these things and they keep trying to, they say, get me, set me up, break me, I'm still going to be logical. I'm not going to have an emotional reaction. So they're saying right now, well, this was also supposed to make you jealous of people. That's emotional. I'm not an emotional person. I don't really have feelings of jealousy. I'm happy for people who have success. I'm happy for their happiness. I'm not going to react with that emotion. I won't react with some other emotions. Do I get angry? Of course. That's what I wanted this channel to be. I want this channel to show you the effects of people using not just microwave auditory effect, V2K, AI, but hitting people on the head. What happened to me when I'm hit on the head? I react. I get upset. I wanted to show the effects of people surveilling 24/7. I want to show what works, what doesn't work. They're obsessed with how often I change my panties. Doesn't that sound horrible? And doesn't that sound like something that they got from the book? That's my point. Part of what happened is they read this book and they stole panties and they admitted it. They did all these things. They said they gave my panties away. This is my point. Doesn't sound like something associated with anything legitimate that they would want this to be associated with. It sounds like a bunch of criminals. Okay? They said this had to do with different agencies, different military. So the military steals people's panties and are obsessed with panties. So they said, will I be ashamed? I'm not ashamed. I don't feel any shame about any of this process because I've been the victim. And the more they come up with things that they're saying, the worse they look. That is to the point now where they're suggesting, why don't you look up this? Why don't you look up that? If you're mind controlling me, then you wouldn't have to keep suggesting. That's what I'm saying. This was never V2K the legitimate way. They said it was supposed to be my thoughts. If you're saying, why don't you do, and begging, please, won't you do this? Then it's not the legitimate V2K. And it never was. They said now they understand that this was supposed to keep them busy. Yeah, that's what this was designed to do. It wasn't designed to control me. Thank you for watching.